It might surprise some people who see user experience design, especially in the digital sphere, as a very modern way of doing things, as a very new approach. But in actual fact, its fundamentals go back far, 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 far into the past. You can go back into Walt Disney, for example, who his team of Imagineers who built Disney World and designed all the experience there. He was instructing them, and they were creating guides and methodologies that enabled those Imagineers to start walk in our visitors' shoes and understand what they understand, and that was part of their guidance. You go to the 1950s where there was Henry Dreyfuss, who was the inventor of the Hoover vacuum cleaner and the touch-type telephone. And his whole approach was to understand what users care about, understand what the problems are, and give users something that's actually going to make them happy, that's going to give them a positive experience. Essentially, you can go back to the ancient Greeks, who the kind of, they didn't call it ergonomics at the time, but it's ergonomics. They're observing farm workers and they're seeing how they use tools to actually, and then when redesign tools to make them better. You can take it right back to 3000 BC, which is the origins of feng shui. The core part of feng shui is about the arrangement of internal areas to start to be best used by people and to provide the best experience for people. How is that different from us building prototypes of your internal HR system that we're redesigning for you, or a flight simulator interface, or your e-commerce site, and testing that with users? We seem to have forgotten all about all these lessons that were learnt by engineers and product designers from years and years and years ago, and just gone, we're just going to do what we can, and that's maybe in the excitement of a new industry. But now, over the last 20 years, people have slowly been starting to kind of realize, actually, you know what? Let's remember what we did as people, as designers, as engineers in the past, and start kind of applying these things. So these aren't new principles. This isn't a brand new, innovative way of thinking, really. It's just a newer way for the digital industry, and it's almost like the digital industry is growing up a bit. And I think that's the way I like to see it, is that the maturity is growing back in again, and we're remembering the lessons that we learned in the past as people. There's still a lot of organizations out there who are just designing what they think. Some startup mentalities are just quickly build something and get it out there, and that's the priority. And thankfully that attitude is changing more and more, but it's still very, very common. So actually, that attitude is what leads to people still having terrible experiences with apps. And there's still a huge number of organizations out there that pay lip service to any sort of user-centric design or engagement with users, and still are just building things that they think look nice and they reckon will work. But it's all guesswork. And especially when you get more and more complex processes being transformed into digital experiences. So that's where the real challenges come. And often in organizations building these things, they're thinking about the technology that they're going to deliver it with first. The approach that we always champion is to be agnostic to what the end solution is. That's whatever it should be to best deliver the experience that you need to. You need to think about what the experience is going to be for you, what they need to do, what are the tasks that they actually need to achieve, and how do they need to achieve them in the right way, and what are the environments in which they're trying to achieve them. And what are their instinctive behaviors as well, in terms of what's going to not be hugely jarring for them to do. If you understand all of those core parts and examine that and design based on clear understanding of all of those things, and that's born out of actually understanding these from engaging with users, then you're more likely to be able to actually craft something that might be complex, but it's going to be a far smoother journey.